Hello, hello, hello. This is a different look than what you've seen in the past, which is why I've called this one Music Talk and the Future. Hi, Sam Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services, and I'm looking to branch off or branch out on what I've done in my past 20 years in supporting church musicians and branch into now more podcast style conversations talking about music, different styles, not just gospel music, but music in general, how you as a musician in this day and age can approach it. So this gives me an opportunity to react with you one on one. So please feel free to come in. Let me know where you're watching from, and let's have a talk about music and the future. Still setting things up here. One, two, three, four. Microphone's a little hot. Let's turn that down. One, two, one, two. That should be better. I'm also streaming this on my YouTube page. Just want to make sure that I don't miss anyone there. Music and the future. What is it that I'm trying to imply to give light to? As we all know, music plays such an important part in everything that is happening in life. Uh, it is a great emotional motivator. Uh, Certainly, it's in every movie, every commercial. You can't go to a church service and not have music. Someone even singing a song, that's considered music if there are no musicians. Someone playing on the drums or strumming on a guitar, playing a flute or violin or trumpet, all considered music. So I like to be able to talk about all of it. I've spent a lot of time uh, doing music, playing music, learning songs, writing my own songs, sculpting music to sound joyful, as you know, as the what my channel name is, and emulating a a consciousness to all the musicians out there that you too can make a sound that sounds joyful. But I like to have that conversation as those who may be coming in, viewing this, that perhaps you didn't think past um, learning new chords to a new song, or enhancing or improving on the chords that you have learned over the years, and never thought about taking your music and your talent and your skill to that next level. Uh, if you've been on my page in the past 2 weeks, you've seen that I've entered into doing some vocal scripture readings and then putting some of my music behind it. I've often been, um, it's been told to me that, oh, you've got a tremendous low speaking voice. And again, I use that voice very sparingly. You'd be surprised to hear me talk now. If you had seen me 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I wouldn't say a word. I was more about the music and learning what I had to learn and communicating when I had to. But as I've matured in age and have always had a real good command of the English speaking language. I always liked to speak distinctly. If I say it one time, I don't have to come back and say it again. I give it, I'm like, white rice. That's it. If you want gravy on it, then you've come back. You come to the wrong person. But I'm branching out. Uh, Always been comfortable talking within a crowd if there's something to say, if no one else has already said it. Here in the YouTube channel space, each of my videos, I got a chance to talk without anyone being there. No one to ask me, well, what did you mean by playing that chord here, playing that melody in this style, changing that nuance. Well, this gives me a chance right now to be able to cover a lot of that with those of you who have been supporting me. So as you're coming in, I think we have one current viewer right now. As I say, not looking to play any music. I've got so much music that I have played and so much more that I have coming in the future. But I want to be able to now step into this space of having a conversation. As you can see, I am wearing my merchandise as I branched into a new area where I wanted to have not only a company logo that I can identify with, but also now go get into the merchandising arena. I'm gonna do some shameless plugs, as they say. But I've created from the site that handles all my merchandising. I've created merchandise that is functional. This is a tumbler for the ladies. Let me sure if that's coming through okay. There we go. And that is one of the songs I wrote. God still answers prayer. He will be right there. Hold on and don't despair. God still answers prayer. And that beautiful red rose is from my front yard probably 15 years ago. That rose bush finally gave up its course in life, but I took so many pictures of it every year. I said, I've got to find some avenue in which to make that rose bush continue to live, even though the bush itself is gone. So that's one piece of my, one part of my merchandise. And of course, I'm wearing the hoodie, which is good around right about now. If I were to go outside and take this to go to the store, somebody can ask and look and see. Sound of Joy Music Services. Oh, you're a musician. Do you sing? No, I'm a musician who plays and who also teaches and instructs young musicians. Again, anything to help to enter a new arena of music life. Not only that, but I also have, again, this is a shameless plug, but not too many in here right now. We have t-shirts. This is the ladies' size. Sorry I didn't iron it. I should have before I do this. But we have ladies' size. And of course, for us hefty guys. And these are all orderable off my website, which is a great thing. I don't have to keep stock. And of course, I have different versions of it. There we go. Different versions. Things that I look at past doing music, almost forgot. A couple more. I think this is iPad cases for the ladies. This is an iPad 6, I believe, but you can get different sizes from the website. One of my favorites, an actual mug. This is so that when you need to have that tea, if you're a singer, or if you're a musician and you want your hot chocolate after a long practice session, you've got something there that you could put it in. And finally, for the musician that likes to carry his hot or cold beverage with him, you have the tumbler where you can put your beverage in of your choice. Let's put that snap right on there. It's nice and sealed tight. And let's see, how does this open up? I haven't used it yet. Okay. And it just slides open there, so you don't burn yourself while you're taking a sip of your hot beverage of your choice or your cold beverage. So These are the things that I talk about, that I want to be able to talk about, dealing with music and beyond. Just checking my YouTube page to see if I have anybody there who has come in. Okay, don't see no one there. That's okay. Um, so I need you, as the those who have been supporting me all these years on my YouTube channel, to tell me, and those who are watching from my Facebook page, engage me in what you're looking for in music right now. Yes, you always have the music beefs where musicians against ministry leaders, musicians against choir directors, musicians against choir members, in a sense. Who wants to lead a song? What song should we sing? This one works here, this one works there. Those are the kind of conversations I'd like to have. Because I've, from an old G standpoint, old guy standpoint, I've been through those tussles, those tense moments where when you would speak, the spirit says, "Hold your tongue, hold your peace," as we used to say in the old school, and let the Lord fight your battle. But sometimes you have to rise up, and I often say, yes, the Lord will fight your battles, but you still got to show up. And sometimes when I had to show up, I didn't show out, but I set the order, or the house, I should say, in from a music standpoint, in order. Why sing a song that you vocally cannot reach? Here, let me show you. Let me tape you. Now you tell me, what does it sound like? And that usually quelled all of the "how come I don't get to lead a song" questions or confrontations. Um, if the latest song would come out and, ooh, Mr. Talbot, we should sing this song, and I've got 10 songs already in my queue, I would always ask, okay, will this song supersede the 10 songs you've already given me? And give that kind of an understanding to the choir director or directress, to say that you filled my plate already and my dessert dish. Which song do you want me to omit so I can learn this new song that you've just given me? Because it would be unfair for me to devote more time to a new song and take away from the 10 or 5 songs that you've already given me. Those type of conversations I'd like to be able to have with those of you who are musicians in the music community, who are new to this environment, and question, is this a battle you should fight, or should you just hold your tongue and take it? That's what I'm looking at doing, having that kind of conversation. And I won't be doing these talks for long. This stream that I'm doing right now, it is my initial stream. I'm testing out my cameras and my lighting. Didn't want to have too much lighting here because I want to keep it personal, keep it one-on-one. But there may be a time where I'll put up the green screen and have something in the background, maybe an ocean breeze or uh, some setting that I could use in a green screen format. But I kind of like this. I like this format where, it's like having a meal. In fact, as I hear my throat tensing up a bit, because I really don't do a lot of talking except when I'm doing my videos, but I'm gonna take a little swig of water. It's all right. But I want to be able to have and give those who are in the music community, who support my page, who may come to my page new and want to know, who is this guy Sam Talbot? What has he done? I think I posted something from my website page, give you an insight as to who I am, basis what I've done. Just reading it right now. Okay, so if you're kind of questioning, this old guy, 65 plus, looking at age 66, coming in April, still able to nail down 3 pointers. Can't run as fast as I used to, but you give me a 10-second start, I'll give you a run for your money. Still love to exercise. Let's see. Love being creative, not just in music, but as you see now, extending myself content wise. I've completed 48 years of working. So I am fully retired after 48 straight years of working in the industrial printer industry for the IBM Corporation, for the Ricoh Corporation, and my last company was the CES Services, who were former IBMers who started the company. So I've got that. I always try to find the right word. I've got that clout of, hey, I've worked almost 50 years, which is more than 2/3 of my life. I started at 17 years old and was a full-time church musician and raising a family. So there was all three facets going on. And you may ask, well, where did I have time to practice? Well, I made time. And there was a way that I practiced so that if I was given 3 or 4 songs at one time, it was easy to apply melody and traditional chording around those songs so that when rehearsal time came, I could give the choir members their parts, I could play the song, and by the time it came time to sing it, maybe 2 weeks later, I learned all the other integral parts of the song. So a little bit of my history from my website. Samuel Tolbert trained in big band, jazz, and gospel genre. In this technological age, he has led the internet world with online music lessons. Back in 1992, back in the AOL dial-up days, I was one of 3 or 4 gospel music lesson sites that were helping musicians with MIDI files to be able to practice more of different types of songs. I lost count as to how many I placed on the internet. It was well over 80 files, and I would always select the songs that were used in church. So you got Jesus, I'll Never Forget, Can't Nobody Do Me Like Jesus, The Blood That Jesus Shed For Me. You may have gotten Total Praise, I think. Order My Steps. I'm just trying to remember all the MIDI files I was placing. The hymns, The Blood That I think I said The Blood Jesus Shed For Me. Hymns that were and contemporary songs that were being used in churches, so that musicians would have a site or way to download a MIDI file, and if they had a computer, they can actually play it back on their computer, or if they had an actual MIDI keyboard, they can play it back on their keyboard. So this was back in 1992. I was doing this. Let me read some more. In this technology age, he has led, or I have led the internet world with online music lessons, MIDI music, still in use by musicians seeking instruction and churches seeking music for church use. There was a time in my past where I saw the need for church musicians back in the late 80s when I began my Sound of Joy music company, which was an actual business. And I wanted to assist churches with getting new musicians trained now, so that as they got older and they moved on in their careers and in life, there would always be another musician in training and ready to do the music that suit that ministry. That was my desire back then. Now he's a full-time content creator on YouTube channel called Sound of Joy. At the time of this, over 650 videos of music and lessons. I always made sure that I had a nice balance. What good is it me showing you what I can play, and I don't show you how you can learn to play it also? So if you're new to this site, looking at this video content, you're free to go. I just started breaking up all of my lessons in playlists so that you would go to a playlist for traditional hymns, a playlist for contemporary gospel, a playlist for spirituals, a playlist for Skype summary lessons, a playlist for gospel music lessons. Welcome, Nepo. So that out of the 650 plus videos, you could pick which genre of music you want to learn. I think if you kept up with my site in the month of November, I must have put about 12 Christmas songs, and I played them. I actually broke down how you can play the song, basic, and then begin to add gospel chords to it because I realized a lot of musicians only play one or two Christmas songs every year. It's usually "Oh Come All You Faithful," "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," and "Silent Night." If I think that's the three traditional songs most musicians play, and I wanted the musicians of this generation to have a plethora of songs that they could pick from. So I threw in "What Child Is This?" "Mary, Did You Know?" Um, I have to go back and look at my page. It's about 11 of them, 12 of them that I placed, and I may do one more. We're so close to when musicians won't be playing these songs anymore. Anyway, back to my bio. His musical accomplishments include, this is where I got started, New York City School Music Program for French horn, which I still have here in my studio, trombone, flute, and mellophone from 1967 to 1973. So my music background is from a professional musician who taught us the 1812 Overture, who taught us Charlie, I think it was Santana songs, who taught us big band sound because he was the actual trumpet player who wrote his own music. So we played a lot of his original music in that big band format. So if you wonder why I play such stretched out chords, I'll give you a bottom, a middle, and then a melody at the top. That's that big band influence that I received as a young musician in my early age, learning how to um, interpret music. I was never taught to play piano. Never had a piano teacher sit down and show me anything, but I sat within an orchestra of musicians, saxophones, trombones, flutes, um, baritone saxes, tenor saxes, soprano sax, no violins. I'm trying to think what were the other voices we had. Well, okay, I was the mellophone French horn player. Two of us there, and having all that music engulfed around me, that's what I use to build my music heritage, to say that I want to sound like a band on a piano or on the organ. As a church musician, I served three denominations. My first was my home church, the Kelly Temple Church of God in Christ, from 1973 to 1998, located in Harlem, New York. I then transitioned to the Mount Nebo Baptist Church from 1998 to 1999, also in Harlem, New York. I was the music director slash organist for the Galilee United Methodist Church, located in Englewood, New Jersey, from 1999 until my final year in 2018 when I retired. During this time, I served as the Church of God in Christ New York State Jurisdictional State Musician from 1973 to 1992 under Sister Ruth Neely and the late Reverend Timothy Wright. So I had a lot of influences around me in different styles of gospel music. Composed and arranged 30 songs from 1980 to 2018, copyrighted one which was entered into the Song is Born, a live recording for the Church of God in Christ UNAC concert. I've played in several states, the island of Barbados, worked with area soloists from Broadway plays, served as music director for Teaneck native local playwright Riona Thomas for her screenplay Black Street, and created the musical CD. That was an opportunity that was afforded to me here living in the Teaneck area. A woman who created off-Broadway playwrights opened an opportunity to me to be a musician, and then later became the music director, where she presented me the music, and with my keyboard, I was able to give her all the music necessary for a local play called Black Street. I actually created a music CD soundtrack of that also. Again, this is part of this going beyond the walls of a musician. There's the church thing, and then there's the other side of being a musician. Again, getting the experience that I want to be able to pass on to those who I am talking with now. Let's see where we live. Worked with Alfred Gallman. He is choreographer, director of choreography, and created theme music. And this is a song that is available on iTunes and the CD Baby, "Sound of Africa" for his original dance Ariki. That was an opportunity that came to me. Mr. Alfred Goldman was teaching musical, excuse me, a musical dance which he created of African animals, and he needed a soundtrack similar to that of the Lion King, but it couldn't be the Lion King. And he gave me 2 days to create that soundtrack using the music that I had, the instruments I had in the house. I was lucky to have an old keyboard that had the sounds of lions and birds and chimpanzees. What else? What else did I have on there? That's those animal sounds you would hear in Africa. I was able to envision the Lion King song, the same time frame, and then came up with a musical theme, which is copyrighted. That's why I say I can talk about it because it is copyrighted, and and hand that to him within 2 days. And as far as I know, from that time, I believe it was 1994, he's still using it now. If he's doing that actual production. Let's see. Ah, in my past, I would like to always see if I could rearrange a hymn, depending upon what the genre was for that hymn, be it an Easter hymn, Christmas hymn, or a song for a outdoor street service, or just anything, just to say that if you gave me a title subject, I would look at it and think about it and say, well, what kind of a musical piece could I write to emphasize what this song was called? So I always like taking Christmas songs and rearranging them so that they can fit a natural particular part of the service. So in two, 19, I'm trying to get the year right. I guess 1996, I took two songs, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" and "Joy to the World," and put it to a contemporary hip hop beat where the beginning of the song sounded like was a full band jam session. Da 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 da. That's it. And I said I want to do this because I've never done it before, and I always like to challenge myself musically to see whether or not I can create something. So, and that "Hark the Herald Angel" song was previously rearranged twice before then. This time I said I want to go back more to the actual traditional melody with a twist. So we called the song "Glory to the Newborn King." And in 2009, the Times Square Church in New York City asked me whether or not they can record it on their Christmas in Times Square album. Of course, I said yes because it was an opportunity for a song which I rearranged to be sung by a full choir, and working with the minister Gregory Lamont Thomas. I hope I said your middle name correct. Who also arranged another portion of that song and added more oomph to it with his tremendous crew that he had there in his church, was able to put that on their CD production. And I think last year I was able to watch them when they were in lockdown mode, but doing music on their live stream. I got to hear them sing that song on their live stream, and it always does my heart good to know that work in music ministry does not stop if I'm not doing it, but others can take it and do much more with it. So that's the synopsis on me as I'm waiting for more to come into the room. I currently have 5 who are here. I've asked that you could let me know that you're here and where you're from, because these are the type of conversations that I want to be able to have. Playing music is never a problem. If I'm asked to, hey Sam, can you play a song for me? I'll ask which one, if I'm aware of it, or if it's a hymnal. As I always say, I always have the hymnal right at hand in case I need to pick a song real quick. They say, "Oh, you used to always hear in my church, be ye also ready." I says, "Well, as a musician, I was always prepared." So sometimes a singer would get up to sing, and I have no clue what song they're going to do because they start talking, or I never knew what key they're going to be in because most times the singers don't know the key. And I think a lot of the musicians today find themselves in that state where they're used to playing the songs they can play, and then someone will get up to sing, and the jitters come over them. Wow, okay, where's the old guy at? Because if they sing something I don't know, and it's a common feeling for musicians, they don't want to feel bad. They don't want to feel bad at all. I had gotten over that as I, oh, welcome, Crystal. I had gotten over that as I'll say a middle-aged musician. When I was a young musician, I was the guy that got pushed off the organ because the older musicians were there, and the more established singers wanted to have someone who they were comfortable with play for them. Wasn't until I got maybe 10 years into being a church musician that I got to know what that feels like when a young, or rather, woman got up to sing, and she looked over and saw that it wasn't me on the organ and made a request over the microphone. Can I have Brother Talbot come and play for me? He knows my style. So now, again, I didn't push anybody off the organ. It was a request. So, but inside, inside you're going, oh, wow. So this is what it feels like to have someone request you to come play for them. And because she sung a gospel song, I was more comfortable supporting a person who sings gospel. Of course, gospel is elements of jazz and hymnal, which means melody and chords, which help to support any riffs that they may want to use. So, and there's a lot of the musicians, the younger ones, who don't have that experience. This type of conversations that I plan on having now in this format gives me a chance to boost that confident level in you. Oh, welcome, Ed. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I retired. I this was pre-COVID, so it wasn't during. That wasn't because of COVID when I retired. But sometimes, when you burn the candle on both sides, you have to know when to put out one of those fires so that you can have more wick left for the rest of your life. So it came time for me to say, you know what, 45 years straight, constant, always coming in uh, to be the best musician. I may not have been the best musician, but whenever I sat down, whatever instrument I was on, keyboard, piano, or electric organ or Hammond organ, you got the best musician out of me right for that moment. That kind of stress does wear on a person, and as you can see, I have not stopped playing music. If I had to, as they say, unretire, it's not a problem. I wouldn't be lost because I still keep up with the current state of music. Sometimes I shake my head and I go, okay, four chords. All right, well, okay. Just line them up right. 1 6 5 1. But if somebody starts singing I Won't Complain, I say, I got no problem. Chord. I said, what key do you want to put it in? And I just said, okay, here's the chords I'm going to put with you. You go ahead and sing, and I'll be right there when you're ready to sing. Well, I appreciate that. I've often, um, as a musician, always felt that I'm playing for the listener. Now, I never went on stage, although I did have my brief New York Madison Square Garden moment with the Church of God in Christ when they did a service there. So I had my chance to play the organ. Yeah, I did play the organ in Madison Square Garden. That was again one of those things that you just pin up there as, hey, I played the garden one time for a church service. But as far as, never did Carnegie Hall, never did any of the off Broadway sites, although I did want to somehow venture or weave into that environment because I always felt that as a musician, I want to be challenged. Sometimes when you're playing a hymn all the time and the same hymn all the time, that's not really challenging because you know where you're going to go with it. You add a little spice of chord there, a little spice of chord there, speed it up, slow it down, whatever. I always wanted to be able to say, hey, what if? And I think everyone is going to ask that question as life uh, goes on for them. What if? What if I went to New York Juilliard School of Music? What if I had a chance to go to Boston, to Berkeley? What if I had a chance to do off Broadway music and tour England and Spain and Italy and Poland? What if? You'll always have that question. And and then I always ask sometimes, well, what if I didn't play? Well, I would probably still be doing something involved with music because I still hear music in my head, and with technology, I can get it out onto paper and hand it to the more skilled musician. Thank God that the more skilled musicians are out there because I enjoy hearing them play. I enjoy hearing them reharm a song where I can go, okay, I never would have thought to go that way. I would never would have thought to put that intricate movement into this song. Never would have thought it. So, and I learned something from them. And now I say, okay, I know what he did. Let me, as I say, deconstruct what he's doing. He's this chord, this chord. He went up here, down there, and across there. Okay, got it. Next. That's this is that fun part where I am right now. I'm just checking my Facebook page to see if anybody's there. Any there? Well, hopefully they're enjoying. Um, I always believed that God had placed a ability in me to understand and to want to um, accomplish and to present what I understand. As I say, if I never took classical music, but if I hear a classical music playing, as I did when I was a youngster watching the Bugs Bunny commercials, I would be mystified by I think it was Moonlight Sonata. I would hear that in those commercials, or rather in that um, what do they call those things? Cartoons. That is, I would hear that music in the cartoons, and I'd want to so bad go to the piano and play back what I just heard, but I didn't know where to start, nor was there anyone there to show me. So I would have to retain it in my head for as long as I could. And now, if I were to sit down to a piano, I could find those chords and go, okay. In fact, I think I did do a piece where I did a real bad job of emulating it, but I wanted to add that because I had never had a chance to play it. I think if you were to find on my channel the video I did, it'll say my postlude at Galilee, I Trust and Obey. I believe it's that one. I did an opening on my Korg keyboard of a of that classical sound, and I tried to play it as I would have heard it as an actual youngster. Big thing to teach music, or big thing to teach us music for to play in church. Yeah, Napo. I think because there's so many versions of music nowadays. Back then, depending upon if you were in quote unquote the Black Pentecostal church, everything was jumpy. If you were in the Baptist church, everything slowed down to 2/3. If you were in the angle the in the Caucasian church, everything was guitar laden. What they call now CCM, three, four chords. Now everything has sort of been combined and leaning towards one style of music, which is, again, I am not one to fight where music is right now. I think if I was still active in the church, I think in my last few years, as I was presented with the praise type of music, I was bored, I would go, okay, you know what? I need to put this gospel flavor right here at least, so that it can sound like a little bit of gospel. But I understood. Let me learn it the correct way first, which is what I always stress. It's okay to want to change something to add your flavor to it, but you always want to learn it as the songwriter wrote it first. Even though anytime somebody plays it, they're always going to add something different to it for that moment. I think the only time something stays the same is when it's done in the studio, because they lock into, okay, if this is going to be at 4 beats here, boom. Whereas once you're doing it live, you may string it out to a 6/8 timing and then get to that point. That's what makes live playing so much different. I understand we have now stem tracks that help to enhance your singers and your musicians if you don't have a lot. And they've added variations in those stem tracks so that they can change a bit so it doesn't sound so mundane. But I've always felt that as a musician, you want to have the ability to put your touch on it. Now, that's not to say if you're going to take the song like Blessed Assurance, you're going to give it a nice jazz feel. No. If you were doing a concert, of course, you would. But to say that I want to add this classical change to it or this jazz chord to it, and you've seen that, I think, in my videos, and I'm still shocked as I was going through my videos when I look at the one for I Surrender All that I did in 2013, and to see that it has over 224,000 views. I had to play it back. I says, well, why everybody watching this? Of course, I look at the actual YouTube analytics, and it tells me which videos are viewed the most. And I'm like, gee, that's always at the top, either number one or number two. And I said, what are they hearing that I didn't hear? So, of course, with my analytical ear, I hear it from the beginning to the end, and I hear every chord change, and I go, okay, yeah, I do those chords in every song I play, a little bit of it there, and I hear the mistakes because they're there, and I go, okay, well, those mistakes are influences where a chord outside of another chord has affected the listener to where it brought joy to them for that moment. And I think as a church musician, during my time, that's what I really strive for. If I'm playing the morning hymn, I played it so that that church or that older mother in the back who knows that hymn was able to sing it like she did when she was younger, and to hear them at times say, Brother Talbot, that song you played was the song that my mother loved, and you played it so well. And me not knowing anything about her or the song that her mother loved, but I said, well, I played it like I would have, even if the church was only half full. I played it like the church was completely full of people, and I gave justice to the melody and put a nice bed of chords underneath. I didn't just, make the organ scream or jump, depending upon the song. These are the things I think that today's musician, the new generation musicians, because the music is now tailored to a particular style, to a particular beat, they may never see that. They may never experience that. Well, let me answer your question. When you play Amazing Grace and I Surrender, hymn, one door open to me. New sounds come to my hands before I hear you play the hammer. I appreciate that. I've always felt that I needed to represent the song number one before I represent me. I'll pull back on chords so I don't be the star of the show, you might say. Now, yes, there are some songs that I put there where I just said, you know what, just have some fun. There are some of those videos are there. I won't tell you where they are, but they are there where I just said, let me just go for this and just run all over the place. I think I have an old video there, the 150th Psalm, where I just playing shouting music, the old Kojic style of shouting music, where I had a drum pattern in the back, going at 155 beats per minute, and I'm just all over the place. So that was one of those moments where I just said, you know what, go back to what you used to do back in the 80s. And even when I look back on that video, My sound quality was horrible because my camera quality was horrible. I was just new to the YouTube space and didn't have the funding to afford a better camera or a better quality. And I probably wouldn't redo that video because so much of that presentation of praise music has changed for the better. What I did back in my day was for back in my day, and it's nice that I left a an example of it, bad sound and all, for musicians and for people who just want to, as they say, get on the good foot or hear those changes again that they came up with when they were in their 20s and in their 30s. Again, I'm not against this newer style of music. I think I'm going to lose a light here soon because I on longer than I expected to be, but I love the conversation that I'm having. So if I lose a light, I have backups around here that I can pull right up. But it's all about opportunity and making the best of it. As I say, was I the greatest church musician? No. I was the best of what I could be. When you see me put my videos up where I'm just playing, I'm in the melody and putting the chords around it that I'm feeling right at that very time. If I had to redo it again, I'd probably play it differently. I'd use a whole different chord structure, a different opening, a different closing. I'd go a different pattern because sometimes I'll leave chords out so that the melody can be heard. Then the next time around, I'll add them in and take out the ones that I used before that. And then I wind up making a song that should be 3.5 minutes, 6 minutes. And if you've been watching, I've been trying to cut that down too, because I've got so many videos, and I want to be able to now branch off into different areas of music. I'm doing the songwriting thing still. I have a song, Trust in the Lord, that I'm still working on. I thought I had a standard demo track made for it. Then I said, you know what, I want to build out on that. And then I thought, well, gee, maybe I can make it a little bit more contemporary sounding. So I started changing the chords. And then I found a worship track on my keyboard with using an actual guitar. And I said, wow, this is the guitar sound I'd like to hear in this song. So I had to go back to my 4-chord song, because that was my challenge. Can I write a worship song with 4 chords? Which I did, which it is copyrighted. And I want to be able to now keep it within the 4-minute time frame. I think I'm at 4 minutes and 50 seconds now. And place it on my hopefully growing listing of songs that will be placed in the digital medium. I used DistroKid as my. Have I done an actual instrumental album? I've done probably 10. Local, of course. All the way back to when I did my first. Let me see, I should have it right here. This is one that I created. Let me see if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Cassette days. Two sides. Try to get that to focus. That's when I was doing CDs, and this is, I think, number. Trying to remember, I did a one with organ only. This one, I think I brought singers in. Let me look at the names I got here. Yes, this one I actually brought in singers. If you saw I hadn't posted a picture. I posted it on my Facebook page. I have a picture of a Yamaha MT8X stereo 8-track stereo cassette recorder. This production was made on that, where I brought singers to a church, and I recorded them with the organ. Then I brought back the whole unit back home, and I added all the other instruments with them. That's this production. That's the wrong label. It's just a case. But yes, I've done probably, well, from a cassette standpoint, five. Each one, as I got more better equipment, better sounding, and on CDs. Let me see. One second. Just going through a bag and now again, these are all local productions. This is just me and my system, and my software. I thought I saw one in here. Okay, this is a Christmas one that I did last year, or 2 years ago, I think. Sound of Joy at Christmas, all produced here in my studio. And where is? Okay, here it is. This is probably Making Melody in Your Heart. That's a young. I don't look like that anymore. I wish I can get back to that weight. But this was done, I think, in 2005 or 2006. Again, all produced here in my studio where you see me at right now. I have put that away. I have a 5 CD burner. It still works. Again, my desire was to become the starting point for the next musician, singer, songwriter, to say that, Mr. Talbert, I got a song in my head. I don't have notes for it. Can you help me? Yes. Let's hear what you hear. Hum it for me. Let me hear what it sounds like. Okay. Too many words, too less words. Timing is not correct. Boom, boom, boom. Again, this is all that I would help a emerging songwriter, emerging singer, or an emerging musician. I've always wanted to tell musicians, if you can play an instrument and you're playing every Sunday, you should have your own CD of you playing exactly the way you play. Forget all this big production. I got to have 12 people on it with me. No, just you. And this way, as you travel around from church to church and someone enjoys it, you reach in your bag and you pull it out. Let's see. I don't see it. Okay, I found more of them. You pull it out. This is another one. You put a plastic cellophane around it. This is another one that I again, instrumental that I created. I forget what year I did this one. Let's see if I can see the songs on it. Hymns and then gospel selections. Again, this is all in house. This not go anywhere except here, and I would share them in the different churches I went to. Okay, here's one in the cellophane. So you would put it in a cellophane package. You, again, whoever the musician is, that's not me, but a local musician that says, if someone likes you playing that much and you could use some extra cash, you can have me create your CD, package it in a cellophane thing, and for X amount of dollars, you pay me X amount of dollars to create your project. We'll put it on a CD. We'll send it to you, and now you can charge whatever you want to, or accept, I use the word donation, to help fund your next project. My idea has always been to help the new musician get started. Oh, I talked about Christmas in Times Square. This is the actual I always keep samples. This is the actual production, and where it says, let me see, "Glory to the Newborn King," number 7. That is the song, the rearrangement I did, sung masterfully and played masterfully by the Times Square Church Choir and the instrumentalist. This one hasn't been open yet. This is my, again, keepsake. But I always wanted to help the musician branch beyond playing songs for every church that for every choir that they play for, because this is a talent and a skill combined together. And but if there's no one to, first of all, walk a path, how can I tell somebody how to go someplace I've never been? I wanted to be the guy to say, here's the direction you go, but while you're on that path, be creative now. Create something. Doesn't have to sound like the top artist. Let it sound like you, and then you grow into what you're doing. Again, starting from cassette, and as technology became more affordable, all the printing work, all the picture work was done here. All the printing was done. The burning was done. CD mastering was done here locally in my studio where I'm at right now. As technology became affordable, I reinvested in me so that I can talk common sense and not just be as I say, talking off the top of my head. These kind of conversations that I'm having right now is what I'm looking at doing. It's more than just me creating another instrumental CD and sharing it with close friends or churches, or even now I'm branching off and putting it on the digital format, because now the digital format has become affordable. I don't need to go to a record company to promote anything that I actually create right now. And once again walk that path and it does well, I can now look back and say to the musician or the singer coming behind me, here's the path you can walk for X amount of dollars. It gets you in the door. It gets you a production that is CD quality or master quality. Because I sent I sent my first recording up, and I got the email back. Well, you put this in master quality. Do you want it to be in this kind of quality? I mean, thank you for that quality. We don't normally get it like this. I says, no, keep it up there in that quality, because I'm going to give you the best quality that I can, because as I hopefully get to work with newer musicians and singers, I want them to have that same quality that I'm able to produce. That's why I call my company Sound of Joy. It's about putting out a sound that can bring joy to the actual listener. Let me see, I think I missed Don. Don, Detroit area, Michigan. I've watched you on YouTube for a long time. Always enjoyed your playing and teaching. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Don. As I say, I have 25,000 strong subscribers after being on this site, I think since 2008. I have to look and see when I posted my first video. So I realize all 25,000 don't come in and view me all the time, but I do keep track of everyone who comes in. I apologize to those who put comments in on some videos years ago that I never answered, because I always kept just creating videos and then of course working and then creating more videos, and didn't take the time to see who has commented and what the requests were. I'm a lot better at it now. I'm a lot better at it now. Okay, just checking my YouTube, my Facebook page to see if that any comments are there. But and I appreciate those of you who have come in now and who have let me know that not that my playing is in vain. I've always felt that I'm always playing for whoever listens. Will I ever put any of these past CDs that I've made available out there? No. As I say, when I am my biggest critic. When I hear something that I've done in the past, I'll hear every mistake I made, and I'll go, you know what? Why did you do that? That's well, because at that moment you wanted to get that project out. There was no rush, but you wanted to at least get it out and make it presentable to people. I think back at the time that I was doing this one, I was playing in the Methodist church, and I was playing at different churches, and people would say, "Oh, wow, really enjoyed your song, and you really touched my heart, and you're playing it. Do you have anything?" And I would reach in my bag, and I would give them one. I wouldn't charge for it. I would give them one of these. I would say, "Here, thank you. Play this in your house, and I hope that it touches your heart." And they'd be like, "Oh, how much?" No, no, no. I said, didn't want anything. Because I always felt I had to give first. Down the road, if there's anything going to come out of it, I can wait for down the road. But at that very moment, to musically being able to, for someone who maybe has not heard me ever play before a song that touches them, I said, well, here, let me send you home with me. I've got some other songs there. This is Making Melody in Your Heart. What songs did I put on here? Blessed Assurance, Greater Thy Faithfulness, Pass Me Not, Come By Here, God Will Take Care of You, Jesus Is All the World to Me, Something About That Name, Guide My Feet, How Great Thou Art, Yes, God Is Real, It Is Well, and I've Got a Feeling Everything Is Going to Be All Right. So I mixed up different genres of song, hymns with, let me see, is there an anthem in there? Nope. Basic hymn, Guide My Feet, spiritual, okay, put a spiritual in it, hymn, a gospel, testimony gospel. Come By Here, okay, that's a spiritual. So I always looked to give a whole genre of songs. I'm looking to see what I did on the other one here. Hymnal selections. Blessed Assurance, how great it is well. God Will Take Care. Same songs. Again, traditional songs, but each album I did would have had a different style on it. And I'm not even going to play it back because I know I would do it differently now. Is Your All on the Altar? Just a Closer Walk with Thee. What a Friend We Have in Jesus. Because He Lives, and Hold to God's Unchanging Hand. So that went on this production. I see there's at least 10 of them because I did a compilation of songs on one album, on one CD, and I did them. I do Sunday Night Praise 1 and 2, and what else did I do? I'm trying to remember. I have them. I have all the masters here. They're in a case that has all of my productions in it, even all the videos, the DVDs, and I think I finally got rid of those. I used to have VHF tapes of lessons that I made. I finally got rid of those. Excuse me. When I started making DVDs, I kept all of those, and they're still, again, made available for those who want to learn a specific song. But I find that the YouTube format allows me to break down a song a lot better than I was back in the early days when I started doing this. Well, again, I thank you for those who had come in. I only wanted to do a half an hour, but this will, of course, stay up on my page. There's no music. I don't know if you want me to play something, call out a song, and the keyboard is right behind me. I have no problem firing it up. I think I would have to switch over to I'm in OBS, so I've got different scenes. This was a new scene that I created for being able to do this, but I can easily bring up a scene for Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Yeah, I could do that. I have a good friend, very good friend, who loves to hear that song because it reminds her of her mother, because her mother used to sing that song. Let me power things up. Just turning on the other software I have here. Let's change this scene. All right, so this is my other scene for when I do my videos. Total praise. I've been flagged on that quite a few times, and I didn't want this. Well, that's why I didn't really want to have to do any music. But I don't mind getting flagged again. I can give you 30 seconds of total praise. I don't think they'll flag me. How excellent is thy name? I can get that in there also. Okay. Alrighty. Whew. As I say, take off those headphones. As I say, as a church musician, it's impossible to play powerful songs and not get engulfed by them. I'm sure I will get a copyright strike from, copyright notice from YouTube for Total Praise. I've gotten 3 or 4 of them already. It's okay. It doesn't. It's not a. It's not a negative. No, it's not a negative. They just make me aware of you didn't have permission to play that. I said that's okay. As I say, they're not going to do anything to me. If anything, I give life to particular songs because I try to play them exactly the way the artist wrote them. Okay, my YouTube page is that's not my Facebook page. I don't see anyone commenting there, but as I say, here on YouTube, pardon me, drink some water. This is where I've spent most of my musical life here on the YouTube site. I haven't counted up how many views I have on every video, but I do take note of the ones that are 1,000 plus, and it's always amazing to me that people who I may never ever see in my lifetime I got an opportunity to bless them with music, and that's all that I could ever ask for. As I say, in this day and age, we really don't know when our hourglass of time will run out. And I know I always monitor mine. I wear the Apple Watch, so I monitor my heart rate to make sure that it's okay. As I say, I am 65 plus, and I know what the doctor tells me. He tells me to do, and I've done that. I've cut out the ribeye steaks. Like I haven't had one in a while. I may have one before the year runs out. Then I've cut back on all of the fast foods since I stopped working where I lived in the fast food restaurants because I was on the road so much. I've cut all that out and gone to having salads and yogurt and all that good stuff that helps to make everything in the body keep working, so that I can continue to do this kind of music, and to share with my YouTube community and on my Facebook page. Share with those on Facebook so that the maybe not the knowledge, but the experiences can help to maybe keep someone from falling off or jumping off the ledge. Many times I on my Facebook page, I look at the different musician groups and I'll see the comments where some musician is ready to give up. And I'm like, wow, you haven't even been in this 4 years. How are you going to give up after 4 years? You just got here. Your feet's not even wet in this ministry of music. So I try to lend words of inspiration and affirmation that you're giving up too soon. Your best music is still in you. Now, was I playing like this when I was 17 years old when I first started? No. But did I have a zeal to always add to everything I knew? Yes. In my early days, my father was a Hammond organ technician, certified Hammond organ repairman. So we always had a Hammond C3 in the house. I cut my teeth on a Hammond C. You see me do a lot of piano. My real love is the Hammond organ. That's where I get to use both my hands and my feet and the expression pedal. If you've seen any of my organ videos, you will hear that when I do an organ mode video, it's all simulated. I miss having two manuals there, pulling drawbars on both manuals, thinking about the next five chords while I'm playing the chord I'm currently on. I miss doing that. So the actual simulated one, at least I have a half a manual to work with, and now I'm learning how to pre-program certain drawbar settings I would normally switch to, just to keep sharp to that standpoint. But to be able to impute that experience to musicians who are maybe 100% keyboard players until they walk into that one church that has a Hammond organ and they're like, where's the transpose button? There isn't one. This is where you got to work now. If they're singing in B, don't push them down to B flat. Play in play in B major or B minor or whatever the song calls for. Don't push them up to C, but fight the battle right there. And usually you fight the battle in practice so that when you get out to the battle in the real world, you are not afraid. You're like, oh yeah, I know B. Mr. Talbot showed me how to play the scale, how to play the minor scale, how to play building chords in this key, how to play patterns around this song. Not a problem. That's what I look to do, to give that experience that I had to learn firsthand. You've heard me say it for years on my site. No one sat me down to show me this is how you play a song. My teachers were every album and every CD. When an album came out and I had to learn a song from that album, whoever the instrumentalist was, they were my teachers because I listened to what the piano player was doing, what the organ player was doing, what the bass player was doing, what the choir was singing, and I would combine all of that into my own. If I can emulate what they're all doing, then I've learned the entire song except for the intricate parts of the song, which is the intros and the vamp stuff, which again, that's all the fluff, and that's what I look to communicate, especially in this type of setting that I'm doing right now, so that young musician, or male or female, don't get discouraged. Again, I put 45 years in, and up until my last note, they got 100% of Sam. The very last note, I think I played "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord cause His face to smile upon you and give you peace. And be grateful and be gracious unto you. The Lord be gracious unto you." And I did the sevenfold Amen after that. So yes, I came in with a bang as a young musician playing "Come and Go With Me to My Father's House." That's when I first played in my church. That's the song I got on. "Come and Go With Me to My Father's House." And they were surprised. I knew the Walton Hawkins song exactly like the album. How does a 17-year-old know all the cuts and know all the voicing? That's just because I took the time and studied and applied basic knowledge of what I learned as an instrumentalist in high school, and chord building, and how you form rhythm around a chord, and made that transformative to playing in the church, and then turn around and play and play an anthem. And it was like, okay, what's next? That's the experience level that I want to get across to maybe not the musicians of last generation behind me, but two generations behind me that are just coming into this new realm. And because churches, at least here in the United States, churches seem to be popping up every week. There's a new church, a new ministry looking for a musician. And I'm always wondering, well, will they get a quality one? Will they get one that can, day one, give them what they need based upon the congregation, the older ones, the middle-aged ones, and the young ones? Can they play children's songs? Can they play songs for a youth choir, for a teenage choir? If a soloist comes in, will they be afraid to play, if someone starts to sing, "Just a Closer Walk with Thee"? Will they be afraid to play that song because I don't know that song. That's got more than four chords in it. Well, if you play the song correctly, it's about five chords. You just work them around the song. That's jazz. It's a jazz tune. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let me see how many chords in it. No, I won't do that. I'm on a different OBS screen. But once you understand where the chords are, you just add the melody, and you do that to every song that you play. I want to make sure I haven't missed anybody. I'm gonna bring this to a close. Meta me too much. Thank you for coming in. Cindy Youngblood, I think I missed you. Thank you. I'm trying to think who else. I don't want to miss anyone. As I say, this will stay up on this page, and I'll share this link with my Facebook page for those who didn't come in on the live stream that I'm doing there now. And if you have anything that you would like me to cover, as I say, Cindy, you're welcome. As I say, I'm not a church musician anymore, so there is no preparations for me. I would start preparing for Sunday on Monday night. When Sunday night went closed, and I would rest on Monday, I would start preparing for the next week. Especially when I was the music director and I had to pick the songs for the choir. Where's that book at? I'm trying to think. Where's my book? Let me go dig up. I'm going to show you my book. Okay. You had to imagine that I'm the only musician in the church for a choir who only sings by sheet music. When I joined the Gala United Methodist Church, and when I found out that they only sing by sheet music, every musical influence in me started leaping for joy, because now I can create sheet music that singers will sing to. I won't have to rely on, can you hear this tape? So I began to create sheet music for every song that I wanted them to learn. And every choir member had a booklet just like this for every song. And you can imagine a musician who loves hearing notes sung correctly, having a choir who would ask you, on measure 10, is that the note you wanted on measure 10? I'd have to go and look at my copy and go, wait, hold on, measure 10, look at the yep, that's a G. Well, does that note fit with the note for the soprano? Hold on, let me play both notes. Yes, it does fit if you play the tenor note under it. Oh, okay. I was in musician heaven because I didn't have to have them go get the tape, buy this record, and learn the song like it is on the album. I could write it out in music. Again, this is that part of, I say, expanding what you do with software and with a keyboard and MIDI files, create my own sheet music. And you can see I haven't thrown it out. Not that I'm looking to return, but if I had to, I could come in there and say, okay, we're going to go back and do Praise Is What I Do. There was no sheet music for Praise Is What I Do until I created it. Exactly the way the song plays it out. All the changes. This is my Bible of things musically that I really took serious. I think when you really care about what you do, Cicely, yes. Back when I first started this, I was using Final. What was that one? No, that wasn't Final Express. That was the third one I went through. I had different software when I first started back in 1999, which I was paying for. Again, I never used cracked versions. Well, Sibelius I got into when whatever the final, there was a software I was using, Final something. No, what was it? Oh, goodness. There was one company, the software cost $400 for the software, and every year you had to pay $100 for the upgrade. That's when I started doing it. Then they go out of business, and their software stopped working because when the operating systems changed. So then I started using Final print music. When I got into the Mac, I started using print music, and then I went to Sibelius 6 for when I was using my PC, because I found that when I used a MIDI program to create the vocal tracks for each voice, I could align the notes better in Sibelius 6 than I could using print music. And I could adjust the size of the text and make my changes there. So I began to use all different kind of software to accomplish what I need to be accomplished, which is what I try to push to musicians. Don't be afraid of hymnal music. That teaches you how notes and words match. If you can look like a hymn book and look at how they form letters around the notes, pardon me, as you're writing your music, that's the blueprint. Timing, keys, how high, how low, all four voices. If you don't want to use four voices, use three, tenor, alto, soprano. I use that to create my own music. Let me see what I got in here. I want to find one. There was a song I heard played on the internet, and it was in a workshop. And as they were singing it, I'm listening to the song. I go, gee, I want my choir to be able to sing that song too. But I didn't have the sheet music for it. But because I listened to the song, I said, let me create the sheet music, 3-part harmony. I gave copyright notice to the songwriter. They also placed it in. Again, I don't steal anything. I just borrow to use. And I created the song, and the choir, this is 2004. Wow, 2004. Sometimes I think back and I go, what was I doing in 2004? Creating sheet music for a choir that only sung by sheet music, who sung it exactly the way I wanted them to sing it. So that's, if there's any testimony that I could offer as to why I'm so, what's the word I want? I always try to find the right, correct word. Why I push so hard playing scales and learning the different tones of scales and how to form chords around it. Because if the new song is in someone, and there's no one to show them, here's how you get that song out. And if you can't do it, that's why I'm here. I will take what you're hearing, put it on sheet music so you can send it off to Washington, D.C. Well, now, back then it was you mailed it to Washington, D.C. Today you do it online. Everything has gotten so technical right now, and it's great because you can no longer sing a song in a workshop and have somebody steal it. You can say, oh, here's my sheet music, here's my name on it, and here's my copyright PA number from Washington, D.C. A wonderful thing to be able to go into a studio that says, I wrote this song, and have the guys in the studio look at you like, oh, good, we're going to make money on you. Nope, here's the song, here are the chords, here's the harmonies I want, here's the sheet music. I bring in my own singers. I got a bass player that can do it, hear his notes. And all the studio has it does is give you the recording space and the time to do it. Myrna Summers, His Mercy Endures Forever. Our choir relies on both sheet music and by note. Trying to think, do I know that song? Mercy Endures Forever. Myrna Summers, we only learned the one she did with Timothy Wright. I know somehow, I know some way we're going to make it. That's going way back. Way, way back. But, Nathan, even this kind of a conversation, I would do a podcast for you or other people on a song where apparently I can use the term fair use. I can play that song and talk to what that song is doing. Being able to say that, okay, we're not taking them one song, but we're actually talking to it. They'll play 30 seconds of it and go, okay, here's the intro, here's the chords, here's the key it's in, here's the chord phrasing they're using around this part of the melody, and here are the choir voices, alto, tenor, and just break it and do an actual breakdown. That is something that I am looking in 2002 to be doing. As for not just the older songs, but for the newer songs, because I listen to them, and then I listen to church streams on Sunday, and sometimes I shake my head when I hear the song in the wrong key for the people they got in front of the microphone, and the musicians are just playing three chords, and the song has got maybe five chords. So that's something that I am going to do in 2020, or as you said, you just made a request. If I set myself up to do something like that, then I would I would do a promotion leading up to that, because I'd want to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row. In other words, I'd probably create the sheet music and create a MIDI file and do a track of it so that I can not kill a whole lot of time taking the song apart. That's what I've always done, is to deconstruct songs that I don't know. Not just hear what all the musicians are doing, but let's hear what the choir is doing first. So that tells me what 60% of the song sounds like from the choir and from the soloist. How do you remember the number patterns? Cicely, I don't do numbers. I think I did some couple of videos where I started talking to the number pattern on a basic song, only for those who do it. But I've never been a numbers player. I'm all about melody, which is in the scale, and then the bass chords that are built around that melody, and then if it's a gospel song, the intricate movements of the gospel, which is jazz tones, that help to support that song. Is there anything to help me know the chord names? If you email me at soundofjoy123@gmail.com, I created a workbook back in 2009, and in that workbook, I placed chords in every key with their inversions. It'll give you a reference where you can begin to practice those chords, so that when you hear them in a song, you would immediately recognize what they are. The I've often said that gospel music is built on two scales, major or the harmonic minor. And if you know how both of them sound, you'll know how to play 90% of the gospel songs that are out there, because they're built on one of those two scales. Richard Smallwood's songs are built on the harmonic minor scale. The gospel songs of old are built on the major scale and the jazz scale, which is the minor pentatonic scale, because they always follow a major, then a minor, and a major, and a minor, and then a diminished, and major, minor, diminished, yeah, and then an actual seventh chord. You're basically just playing around some people singing. Oh, okay. I know scales and scale degrees is just not easy since I'm classically trained musician. Sister, you are in a world that I wish I had that chance to go to become classically trained. I have to skirt around it. I'd have to hear all the notes um, that I can match before I get tired. Because classical musicians, when they can sit and play a whole piece without looking at sheet music, I go, that's a lot of study. In gospel music, you have to be versatile. In classical music, you have to be disciplined. But yes, if you email me, I created that. It's a workbook when I had a online course which I ran for 19 years actually. Every time I think about it, how long I ran that course, I ran it until I couldn't find enough students who wanted to take it, because they had gotten older and have found other sites. But I put together reference charts for beginner, basic, and intermediate. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced musicians who played for churches to be able to have references to what they see me do and what they hear in all the albums that were of that day. And again, we're talking back 2000, year 2000 to 2009. Music has changed a lot since then. It's kind of flatlined, I say, but again, those are the songs that are still getting 53 million views, so I can't complain. Just that I wasn't in that pot of music. I still loved what I was doing: hymns, anthems, spirituals, early gospel, and some contemporary. Yeah, organ, Nathan, is hard to do without having an actual organ with me. I only did one organ video, and with that, I also just sort of lumped so many things just to show tips and techniques, not really teach you how to play it, but here are the tips and techniques if you do currently play one. I think I have a couple of videos here on YouTube, excerpts from that DVD. Well, everyone, I'm going to bring this to a close. As I say, this is going to stay up on my site. I'm surprised my lights have not given out on me yet. They're usually good for an hour. But I appreciate you coming in. As I said earlier in the past in the video, I appreciate everyone that has been supporting this site. When you view and when you share views from my site, you do help me monetize what I have on my page, and it gives me a chance to purchase equipment so that I can give a much better production. As you're seeing right now, you're looking through one of my cameras that I was able to pay for. I have a better one that I've already tested that's going to give me a much better point of view from what you're looking at right now. I tested that before I came on live. That email address, in fact, I put it in the chat. I'm going to do that like this. I was sharing with my YouTube page that the the workbooks that I began creating back in the year 2000 were averaging 100,000 downloads a year, and I was amazed how many times they were being downloaded, to the point where it was giving so much bandwidth to the page that my pricing for my webpage shot up from, I think I was paying $10 a month, shot up to like $200 a month. So I had to stop that site because of all the downloads. But I appreciated the fact that I was able to share with that many people, because each, they weren't downloading um, multiple times. It was each download was a separate download. So what you're gonna get from me is the last church musician instructional pamphlet that I put together personally. This one I actually put together for myself because I knew what I wanted church musicians to know, what helped me to navigate songs, and which is all really what we want to be able to do, because we're not on, as a musician, we weren't on actual display. We were just accompanying those who were the voice of the music, which is the choir or the singer. So I always said, let me give the learning community the same tools that I had to go and purchase myself. And I keep doing show and tell. This is the last show and tell I'm going to do of how I looked at what I needed. This is just some of the things that I purchased over the years because I wanted to know what I was doing. So this is one of the books. I wanted to learn drum machine programming, so I purchased a book on how to do proper drum machine programming. I wanted to know, how do you form these chords. This one really helped me because if I wanted to know how to form a chord, if you watch my videos, this is what I actually show you now with my videos, what I paid for. I said, if I can, rather than put this book out, let me use technology to show you how my fingers form the chords based upon, again, investing in myself. Essential piano chords, again, understanding how a chord is formed, what it sounds like, what are the different inversions. There are more books. I can't find all of them. This is my most used book, Piano Chords. This is the one you're going to see in my booklet. Every chord in every key, how it's formed, how it sounds. Yeah, you can see it's falling apart on me because this is the one I would essentially use. This way, if someone were to look at one of my videos and say, Mr. Talbot, at position 1.5 timestamp or time code stamp 114, what's the name of that chord you played? Now, of course, I have Chordy that you can actually see that, but before, in my older videos, I'd have to go pull out the book and look at it and go, okay, where was my bass note and why am I putting that chord there on this melody, so that I could give the correct information. I always believe I may not be perfect, but I can at least be correct. Again, these are the things that today's church musician will not be able to go to the local music store and purchase a book and go home and then put, as they say, do the work to be able to become, they talk about preachers in the scripture, what's that scripture they always use? Study to show yourself approved, a workman and not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That's what they always give the preacher who's going to preach. I always said to myself, if I'm going to play skillfully, I have to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So those are the books that help me. And again, I'm not the best musician out there. Far from it. There are many that I would have to take a seat in the back, and many that are way in front of me. But at least I'll have a seat. I'll put it like that. If they ever said, well, hey, old guy, come up here, show us what you've learned in your years. And I'll pull out an old hymn, Jesus is all the world to me, and play it just like I wrote it. Like I wrote the song among the melody and add all the chords that I've practiced over the years and embellish the song in the way that I feel to interpret it. And hopefully they'll go, all right, you can sit here now, if they say so. But again, I've often said, I don't take music that serious that I can't enjoy what I'm actually doing, and I want to be able to pass that on to musicians. You've got to enjoy this. You've got to be able to feel that that you're growing, which I think is from playing the scales, not just in one key, but in every key, and extending it from not just 3 or 8 notes, but throughout the entire keyboard, forward and backwards, in all the different scales. And then you add on top of that all the chords, which are just broken scales. That's all chords are. They're broken scales. It's just which notes you're going to take out to make that sound. Both left and right hand, to get them both comfortable. And then finding a song that, first of all, the originator, the songwriter, the composer, chords that he placed to that song. And then before you do adding your own, you show homage to the songwriter and the originator by playing it like they composed it. And then let them, if they should hear you play it back your way, be able to say, okay, I heard you play it my way correctly. I can appreciate now the changes, or not appreciate in some cases. the changes that you now add to it. Oh, see, make sure I didn't leave all the comments. I have your MIDI files also. You have been a blessing to me. Oh, I appreciate that, Nathan. I stopped doing the MIDI files, I want to say back in 2015, I think, because the scene was changing for music, and my MIDI files were a shortcut for the musician to be able to practice before I could go live like I'm doing right now. Everything is a step for me. Even what I'm doing right now, I've been watching podcasters for the entire year to look at how are they set up, what cameras are they using, what's the lighting they're using, even the microphone. This is not the top microphone, but it's one that I invested in. I'm going to probably invest in a better one once I hear this back to see whether or not it's giving me the good um, um, tonality I want to hear. Because as a musician, I hear things all the time. I hope that I have my as I speak that it is coming across correctly. It's not crackly. It's a good tone to it because I am looking at upgrading the mic. I'll need quite a few more views to get the mic that I want to get. It's in the $400 range, but I think I can build towards that. But I appreciate everyone that has been supporting me with views and also sharing my channel with others. I've often said that if you can share my videos with all the musicians in the areas where you live, not only would you be helping yourself, but you're helping them also to become a better musician. And if you've been watching my thumbnails, again, representing my merchandise on them now, and I'll be doing some more merchandising coming 2002, maybe a little bit more personalized. I'd like to do one that designates the person as a instrumentalist, keyboard player, or an instrumentalist, keyboard player, or organ player. I want to get a new design that can be put on a sweatshirt. So I want to be able to do. That's again thinking past the music and entering into a new realm of content creation. Again, thank you all for supporting. This will stay up, so if you want to hear me talk again, um, you'll be able to do that. Hopefully, I haven't lost my voice, and I got to thank you for letting me play some selections for you. As I say, I expect to get a hit from Total Praise, but that's okay. I've got 3 of those already, and every time I look at them, I go, "Oh, okay, good." I'm glad you guys are be that conscious when I put something on my page and somebody plays it. Actually, they do. I get copyright notices when someone takes one of my videos and uses it on their page. Most times when I go there and I look at it, they got three people viewing it. I go, I don't care if it's just 3 people, but if you take my content and you've got 300,000 viewers looking at my content, I have a problem with that. But just 10 or 20 people and you're using it to support your service, then I have no problem. Just like my MIDI files, I wasn't getting rich putting MIDI files out there. I was able to share music with a church who doesn't have a musician, but they have a MIDI keyboard. So if their musician quit on them, or they're in between musicians, or if there's a song that they always sing that they like to use a keyboard for, I give them piano, organ, bass, and drums. Hey, now you got me there for your Sunday morning service, but now turn around and give me a musician to train so that you can get off my MIDI files, and you begin to build your own musicians so that you, as I say, can grow from within and not have to always bring in somebody from outside. Well, I want to bring this to a close. Thank you again for this year and for all the past years. I'm going to be doing this a lot. I spent more time than I thought. I'm surprised my lights didn't go out on me. It's been well over an hour. I guess I got them charged up real good this time. But I will be doing more of this in coming 2002. I may be here maybe January, right after New Year's. Most people, I think New Year's is on a Friday this year. Let me just do my calendar check. New Year's is on a Friday. Yeah, New Year's Eve is on a Friday. So New Year's Day is on a Saturday. Okay, I may go live on New Year's Day, Saturday. Everybody will be off. And we'll talk more about the future. Not just for me. Again, you got a good synopsis of what I've already planned out and what I'm still building towards. But I want to be able to find out exactly what do you want to do. Do you want to begin to expand on your musical opportunities? YouTube has exploded with content creators. I'm amazed at how many of them in just 3 months have surpassed me in how many subscribers they have, but their content is different. I search for pages that are doing what I'm doing, and I look at how they're presenting their content, and it's good. I actually subscribe to some of them because I like the way of their format. Not looking to steal from them, but I like their format and the way that they're doing things. And if they show me where they've got if they're representing their, as they say, merchandise, I say, oh, good. I'm in the right avenue, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see on the wall back there. Let me point back there. On the wall back there, that's two of my plaques for my years in service. I may post a image of them and put them in the community tab, just to show that I appreciate the other people appreciated the work and the time that I put in with them as a church musician. And sometimes they will give you a plaque, just in a way of saying thank you for services rendered. And I always felt that I was serving the Lord first, because he gives me the ability to do this, and then by serving the Lord is by serving his people, and that is the congregation. And now I am helping as in that continual service, preparing the next generation of musicians to be able to serve well. We all want to, at that end, that last day, hear, well done, thy good and faithful servant. That's all we're looking to hear. That's what I'm looking to hear. Thanks for spending some time with me, and you may see me again, if not this year, in the new year, certainly. Be blessed, everyone. I've kept some of you late here on the East Coast. It's 12:30. I know you got service in the morning. We have a blessed service, and give it your best at all times. Take care. Sam Tober, Sound of Joy Music Services. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Be blessed.